Hello there, Internet, and welcome to another Damage and Tries, where I'm going to try Chronoscript. And I'm a little bit reticent to do this. Not because I think the game's going to be bad or anything like that, but from the trailers that I've seen, it looks gorgeous and also far too busy for me. But that's from trailers, and there generally is a difference between the experience of watching something in a trailer and actually being in control of said thing. And I am slightly hopeful, shall we say, that actually my kind of worries about this game and how easy it looks like it's going to be to get lost and so on and so forth in terms of keeping track of your character on the screen, I'm hopeful that actually being in control of that character negates that worry. But I have put this off for several days. The demo's been out for a little while now. The year is AD 2026. After finally bringing his long-running series to an end, a certain editor receives a mysterious summons from a new... Oh, thanks for letting me have the time to read that.
Do forgive me for this.
That's really quiet for some reason. Okay, so we can go left at the start. We do have D-pad or left stick movement. We have a crouch. We have the ability to look up. We have a jump. The jump feels ever so slightly weird in midair when you turn, but that's absolutely fine. L1 is heal. Square is attack. And that's all we got. Controlling the Zibblewinds? I would like to control the Zibblewinds. Also, nothing on L3 or R3. Nothing on select or the touchpad, but we do have this. Now, I believe this is the map. Yeah, but momentum in the air feels kind of weird. Bats! What? Page skip? After jumping, X, the ability to leave us... Oh, it's a double jump. There's some debate as to whether they are the brethren of birds or beasts. Opportunistic traitors and pitiful fools cast into the shadows all become retainers of the damned before long, soaring through the night skies unseen. By borrowing their little wings, you shall soar to new heights. With the Sifter Bat's help, you can double jump in midair.
Meticulous one, isn't he?
When we can't, we can jump again in midair, or we can double jump. I appreciate that that is me being incredibly picky. do like the flattening effect because we are on the canvas. I will say that my worries about being lost in the background don't seem to have been too bad just yet. Hitbox on that felt a bit weird. I found a coin. A modern coin, in fact. Not an old coin, but a modern coin. Currency introduced as part of the kingdom's reconstruction. It glitters with the memory of the past and a hope for a better future. Don't we all? Ahem. Never said I was any good. That's a really cool effect. I keep thinking that the bits between pages are going to be gaps. A reading bench. Single reading bench allows you to access fast travel and restore your health. It also restores... Yeah, it's a safe place. My eyes and fingertips scanned pages without pause, hunched so far over the book that I almost formed a complete sphere. Lost in poetic verses, each more beautiful than the last, I was so immersed in their reading that sleep and food went forgotten. My world was reduced... My world? I was doing so well. My world was reduced... My world was reduced to the letters that formed the connecting phrases that wove the paragraphs that filled my books. My lips curved upwards in a blissful smile as I silently mouthed the phrases I read, heedless of anything else. I turned the pages with fervent devotion, despite having long since committed every word of them to memory, How wonderful it would be if the yarn spun from these stories became a silken cocoon, transforming the reader into a resplendent butterfly. What better sight could there be than broad wings made from words rising into the sky? Nothing could cloud the eyes of this dreamer. Wrapped in an endless vision so enthralling, I was poised to lose my own identity. Oh, interesting. So we've got little... So it shows you the pages, I guess, on this particular area. Uh-oh, a boss? An obsessive bookworm? Ice cream. Whoa. Oh dear. Oh, that killed me how? Was there more splash? Yay, corpse runs! A life vessel appears at the spot where the editor dies. Okay, so we... What is the hitbox on that?
Amateur. Hardly even a fledgling. Yeah, that was fine. Edit complete. Ink dive. When facing ink, the ability to pass through ink. The simple tale of a stubborn librarian who adored books too much. They immersed themselves in innumerable stories, losing all sense of time and place until the boundaries between page and person had blurred. Sink into the ink to swim between the lines. Ink dive allows you to submerge yourself in ink pools and use them to move between pages, while submerged your jump will be higher. Bye then. Pitiful creature. It's like looking in a mirror. Okay. XP. At the reading bench, you can open the menu and access the Strength tab. There you can exchange XP for different ability enhancements. Huh. What can we do? "24 out of 52 pages found." Oh, that was the info tab. Right. More life. More healing. More attack. Whole manuscripts. Oh. That's just a case of we can look around. Huh. That might be worth having to play around with at some point. I'm aware that there is no guarantee that a cocoon will produce a beautiful butterfly. There is no way of knowing until it splits open. Nor do I want a storybook world where everyone is always happy and kind. While there's something enchanting about a sweet story being read to a child, tales written about the world ought to reflect its true state. Life can be cruel at times, or downright ugly. It can inspire laughter, or make people want to avert their eyes. So I write, and keep on writing. This world is overflowing with tales that go unread. Buried beneath this pile of manuscripts, I may be unable to move, but I can dream of the day they find their audience. An endless dream, to be sure. I wonder, then, what will I see when I awake?
Time, blood, words, they all fade away. Is right. Ah, you arrived earlier than expected. Welcome to my writing room.
I don't know why that's so much quieter than I expected.
You must forgive me for breaking our promise. The manuscript is still incomplete. Won't you wait for a while? Say, until this sapling spawns its own forest. I promise you, there shall never be a dull moment. There are plenty of intricate stories out there for you to untangle. I hadn't the time to do my own revisions. Don't hold back. Oh dear, how rude of me. How has my manuscript been treating you? I have my reasons, as do you. I can only hope for your forgiveness. Fret not. I have every intention of returning you to your body once the manuscript is complete. Feeling claustrophobic, are we? How about I grant you some insight into the mansion? A lovely sound, is it not? I do hope my faithful servants have been of some service to you. totam capitulum cerne.
Bug's eye view. The ability to survey a chamber. You may not spy me, but I'm always by your side. You may not understand my language, but you will hear my delicate hum. I will be your eyes, relaying the scenery from new heights. You can see the entirety of the room you're in by borrowing the eyes of the seer mosquito.
Do be careful not to lose yourself in the story. Use the bird's eye view to come back to your senses. I get so wrapped up in my writing, I haven't the mind to clean my chambers. Do pardon the mess.
That's one of the, this is an example of one of the things that I was talking about, and the idea of it being just a little bit too busy. You know, I get the point of this, and you know, I can see the pages that are laid out in kind of this map view for us, but the background is so busy that it's not actually all that readable. Fortunately, we can zoom in and out of it. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
I'll end the foreword here, out of respect for your distinct lack of time. My dear editor, I must return.
Oh. Oh, okay. I was expecting to get to do something with that. Fair enough. Oh, how do I phrase this? Bearing in mind that all I know about this game is the first impressions that I had from watching a trailer months ago, and the 21 minutes 20 seconds that I have played of this demo. It is very cool what they are doing in terms of how they are laying out the world. Visually, it's very cool. But right now, this demo has done nothing except reinforce what is niggling at the back of my mind, that it is simply a gimmick. It hasn't done anything for me to say, yes, this pages thing is actually going to really change up the way the game is played. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not me saying, oh, this is, you know, they're not going to do anything with that. But this demo hasn't shown me any of that. And that's kind of what I was hoping. I was kind of hoping for some proof, I suppose, of what is the point of this gimmick. I don't mind having the gimmick. I like the gimmick. But what is the point of the gimmick? Beyond the aesthetic, what does it add? Because I've already discovered one thing that it takes away. In the boss fights, the bit where it flips you upside down, and some of you are probably going to laugh at this and say, ha, Demagen's an idiot. The bit that it flips the page made my head spin. Now, I don't know whether it's because I'm getting old or whether it's because the medication's on or what have you, but for a while now, I have been starting to get motion sick with stuff in games.
It was particularly pronounced when I was playing Valor Mortis, but every time kind of the orientation or rotation or just camera control gets kind of taken away to an extent, it just makes my eyes go blur. Now that's a me problem. And I'm not suggesting that they should change the game or anything. I'm just making a particular note of the fact that actually that kind of thing doesn't agree with me. I don't particularly like gravity switching mechanics in games anyway, although to be fair, this isn't a gravity switching mechanic, this is a room orientation mechanic. If it was making me fight on the ceiling with reverse controls or whatever, that would be a pain. This was just a case of just a momentary sense of disorientation. And you might be thinking, well, that's the point, isn't it? And I'd probably agree with you on that. But does that do anything except add that momentary disorientation? Did it add to the gameplay in any other way? Not really. It was a momentary discomfort. And to be fair, I don't really play games to be uncomfortable. But anyway, my point is this. Firstly, since I was in control of the characters, the fear that I had about, oh yeah, I'm going to find it really difficult to keep track of myself on this really detailed artwork, so far unfounded, thank God. Because I was really worried about that. I thought that was just going to hurt my eyes. And in fact, the contrast surrounding the character really does aid. I know in some games you get a little outline around the character or something. In some games it kind of looks out of place. And in some games, like this one, it really does help. I don't know whether it's because of how I've got the audio set up, but the volume for everything sounded fine except the narrator, the author, essentially, who sounded really quiet. But again, that's pretty easily fixed with the audio sliders. I just didn't realise it was going to be that quiet. I'm sure a lot of people expect me to talk about the map. So, extra boss battle challenge. I'm assuming it didn't save, so we've got no way of... Yeah. I mean, the artwork is very nice and very detailed and must have taken a long, long time to put together. Sybil wins. How did I bring up the map? Yeah, like that. So this idea that it's pages and that they're filled in as we go is very interesting. And the fact that this is essentially a top-down floor plan of the room surrounding her writing desk and that there are 5 exits to it, which I'm going to assume we will probably go to 5 different biomes, essentially, from this, potentially leading to others. But yeah, there are 52 pages, and we found 3 of them just going through here. Yeah, I mean, this is very interesting, but for me, it's not really adding anything.
The story will truly end.
I was perhaps hoping for the demo to show me a little bit more of what this was going to offer for us. I don't think
isn't he?
Oh yeah, can I change the... Oh, no, hold on. There's an option there. Settings. Hopefully that will... Hopefully that will improve things. I just want to see if we can go over here. So yes, very visually stimulating and interesting. But in terms of what has this...
keep writing.
There we go. That sounds better. Future shopping list, life +3. Warm up hands with hot water before handling. 1 bag flour, 100 grams butter, cilantro leaves. Okay. Yeah, it is a very, very cool visual effect. But a very cool visual effect or a very cool looking game does not necessarily a good game make. When Mio came out, and keep in mind that I really like Mio as a game, but when Mio came out, almost everything, every point of praise that I heard about Mio for a good long while was, this is beautiful, this has got really good music. And there wasn't so much about the other aspects of the game. There was a lot of, oh, it's just really pretty. And don't get me wrong, it is really pretty. But from a gameplay perspective, which I was more concerned about, there were some things that the game did that I just don't like. It's brilliant for exploration, but its combat is somewhat simplistic and so on and so forth. I'm not going to turn this into a critique of Mio. But you can make a game really interesting to look at and have a really interesting gimmick, but you need to do something with it. And this is quite interesting to look at. But in terms of, is the gimmick actually doing anything? So far, no. Am I sure that that will change? Yes. I'm sure that there are other things in this game where the pages and stuff are going to be really interesting. There might even be something like in islets where you can move pages around and recombine them to get to different locations and so on and so forth. And that will be really, really cool if that is the case. Though it will thus mean that it's not a...
Not yet.
It's not a mappable game, so to speak, depending on how the combinations work. You know, islets was pretty straightforward because the map realistically only went together in one particular way. Depending on how much choice you have and control you have. But yeah, right now, the shifting of the pages is taking away, for me personally, not saying it's bad, just saying for me it's taking away more than it is adding, because it's slightly disorienting. And yeah, but I came into this expecting it to be much harder to see what is going on than it is actually presented with me with. So that's good. That means that I can't... That means that I don't just immediately need to say I can't play this because I can't find myself in what is going on. That hasn't been an issue, which means that I have a chance to get into the game, to learn how they're going to utilise the gimmick and so on and so forth. I'm intrigued, not intrigued enough that I go and look stuff up, because I don't like looking stuff up. You know, I want to find out what the game does from
playing the game, if that makes sense. But I suppose I could take a quick look at the Steam store. Chronoscript: The Endless End is an exploration-based action-adventure game where you, an editor trapped within a manuscript, must unravel a 1,000-year story that writes itself beyond its end, across 2D pages in a 3D manner. You can play a portion of the main game's prologue and experience its world and gameplay firsthand. Demos work in progress. Following features are planned for inclusion by the full release: difficulty selection, keyboard mouse support, optimization, options, controller vibration. Save data will not carry over. There are 3D sections to what is going on. They look like cutscenes more than anything else. A unique approach to spatial perspective awaits you. Hard-hitting action. Traverse the many eras depicted in the manuscript. So, the vampire author... Oh, she's a vampire. Okay. So we're going to get different time-related shenanigans. Frame-by-frame animation. Huh. Well, I am... And I always was intrigued enough to keep an eye on this anyway, just because of my fears about getting lost on the page, so to speak. And that's not to say that that's not still a possibility, but you know, it's an interesting gimmick, is all I will say. It's an interesting gimmick, and I'm going to go, because otherwise I will just waffle, as you all know I am wont to do. Interesting, novel, but only stand out for its gimmick so far. We'll have to see what they do with it. But it does look pretty. It does look very pretty. An addendum. It's the next day. I've slept. I was quite tired at the end of the previous demo, or the demo bits. Let's try this, see what it's like. A formidable challenge for highly experienced editors to test their skills against enemies from stories untold. I mean, realistically, that's not going to be anybody, is it? Nobody's going to be an experienced player for this game when you've only given us a 15-20 minute demo. Ink memory. Inkwells call upon the power of old memories. Each ink memory has its own cooldown period and a number of charges. Okay, so we've got special attacks on triangle and circle. Got a dash move on R2. Not really surprising there. Oh, and we can't read anything, it's just, this is what you get. So we get, whoa, what's with the stuttering? Okay, that's got a really slow... Is this ink? Yes, it is. Okay.
You must put a stop to all this fear and death.
Okay, that hits you out of the ink. There's something very lethargic. That's really, really slow to come out. Like, too slow. Interesting that I... This does have the problem that I expected to have with this game, in that because of the detail of the artwork, it is very busy. Also, the hitboxes don't feel great. So, for example, that... I dodged, but whatever. Okay, you can dash through that. Just didn't the first time I tried it. Ah. No, that's the wrong way, isn't it? What? Seriously? You hit us with a gotcha attack for over half of our health. That's bullshit. That's really shitty. Oh ha ha, look at us developers, we've hit you. Oh, fuck's sake. That's awful. No, I was pulling the other way, but... I'm pulling the other fucking way. Dodged. There is a delay on stuff. The delay on this ram attack is ridiculous. You can be pulling in the opposite direction and it hit the button and it will still fire off in the direction you were facing. It's not great. Of course that still hits. I'm facing the wrong... Jesus Christ. Oh no, that still hit me. It's too far into the fight to figure out what is actually going on. And the screen... That's just stupid. It's over too quickly for you to see what you are supposed to do there. And then you've got to go through this shit instead. So that's just a circular AoE. It's not related to the actual look of the spikes in any way, shape or form. I dodged. There's a stupid ass lurch at the end of the dodge animation. Oh, fuck off! So I survived it by having enough health, and then they just dropped down on top of me anyway.
First read.
So I just closed down the game to go and put that footage into DaVinci so that I could actually slow it down and try and figure out just what the hell the game wants me to do with that chopping block, the guillotine bit, because there's no time actually in-game to figure it out because it's over too quickly. I noticed that there was a slit in the middle, and I think maybe that is marked or demarcated by the little nail that gets dropped just in front of the throne. And it's possible, but I'm not entirely sure, that there are bits to the side. No, I dashed, dodged, whatever. So let's find out. Is there a safe space here? There is a safe space there. And that's a problem with how busy the screen is. Oh. I turned round. Is this going to be a different pattern? No, it's the same pattern. So when he jumps back... I'm going to be honest. The fact that I had to leave the game to slow it down to see what was going on with that is problematic for me. And plays into the fear that I had that the game's art direction was going to be to the deficit of the experience. And I was right. You have got corners of the room that are relatively dark. You have safe spots. I guess there's one on the other side as well. It is easy enough. It's absolutely easy enough to avoid once you can see what to do, but I couldn't see what to do. You have a readability issue. Combine that with how much everything feels like it lags. Lag's not the right word, but I don't want to say it's unresponsive because then people just say, oh, your reactions are slow. No. Are my reactions slow? Yeah, I'm getting old. They're not this slow. You know, I press the button and it still doesn't come out in time to actually be useful. The ram attack should come out straight away. There's at least half a second delay for it to wind up and come out, by which point the enemy's already bounced off somewhere else. It's far too long. The way the end of the dash has that little bit of deceleration to slow you down, it gives this kind of lurching feeling, which feels really rubbish, frankly. In a complex situation like a boss fight, you need your controls to feel responsive. And unfortunately, you're not there yet. Can you get there? Absolutely. Change the timings. Easy peasy. If this is your intended way of things feeling, that's unfortunate because it feels bad. Other people might disagree, but for me right now, this is a visually interesting, if busy, noisy game where the actual gameplay mechanics are not tight enough. So you have got a case of, essentially, a really interesting visual style that is taking precedence over the actual subject of gameplay. Style over substance. The game itself, gameplay-wise, isn't doing anything new yet, based on what little we've seen, which isn't a lot. Visually, great. Really interesting, if noisy. I think I would probably increase the width of the boss's red glow a little bit to give it just that little bit more separation, especially with the dark spikes, which obviously blend in with the dark bits on the background. The hitboxes, and I went and checked this whilst I was editing whilst I was looking at the first bit of this so that I could slow it down and find out just what the hell I was supposed to do with the gotcha moment. The hitboxes on some of the attacks do not match the animation. It seems very much to just be a circular AoE as opposed to actually following the spikes. So you can get hit by stuff that doesn't really look like you should be being hit by. The ground smash, where the kind of ground explosion comes up, I was hit on the first frame of that, even though the animation hadn't reached me. It then reached me like a couple of frames later, but it didn't reach me on the frame that I actually took the hit from. So either you've got it programmed so it is just a rectangle for the entire duration, or there's something wrong with the shape of it. You know, if you are going to have something like that where the wave clearly goes outwards, then you need hitboxes that match that wave going outwards. If it is just don't be in this situation, but you can't necessarily judge from the animation, that's bad design. I try to avoid the phrase bad design, but I truly do believe that hitboxes need to match the animations of what they are. And they should always be a little bit smaller than the shape of the animation. Just to give the player a teensy tiny bit of, oh, thank God for that, grace. This has hitboxes that feel like it is slightly bigger than the animation, which gives that, how did that hit me feel? The same goes for the grab attack where it opens up. I pressed the dodge button. All the ones that I complained about where I said I dodged. You know, I'm not trying to make an excuse for lack of skill or whatever. I dodged. I pressed the dodge button and it didn't go off when I pressed the dodge button. Maybe I was late. I doubt it. The Iron Maiden's not exactly got a fast wind up for it. It's just that feeling of, why did that hit me? I pressed the button in what I thought was plenty of time before the enemy even started moving, and nothing happened. On the subject of moving and pressing buttons, the ram attack special ability, or whatever it is, it's so slow to come out. And it just doesn't seem to take into account the fact that you can be pulling one way and it will fire off the other way. And I don't know why that is. You know, I might run one way to get some space, hit left, hit triangle, and it fired off to the right. Which, considering how slow it is and the fact that it is a limited resource, yeah, we've only got 10 of them, but to be fair, they're so slow. I get, incidentally, that we're supposed to use it when the enemy is stationary, but it's not stationary for very long. So you've got to try and guess what it's going to do, or be absolutely on point in terms of, this is its stationary move. Press the button, put your face in the right way, hope it doesn't fire off in the wrong direction. It doesn't feel good. So My thoughts on the actual exploration demo was that it was far too short and didn't showcase enough of what the game was going for from an exploratory point of view. My thoughts from the extra boss fight is that the actual gameplay itself could be fine, albeit, let's be honest, not massively innovative or interesting. Even if the thing that really kind of confused me, in a sense, is when the big chopping guillotine came down and I was in an ink puddle on the floor, I still got hit by the guillotine. And that just seems kind of illogical to me. I was hiding in the floor and I still got hit by the blade that dropped down. It feels like that's a missed opportunity to have the ink actually do something useful in the fight, because it wasn't otherwise. There was absolutely no use for it there. It didn't help you jump over stuff because everything was fine. I suppose technically you can get a little bit of acceleration out of the ink so you could maybe catch up with the boss faster, but the boss is much faster than you are in every respect. And yeah, just now I know that the guillotine seems to be the same shape each time. That's not going to be an issue anymore. But the fact is that it just wasn't clear the first couple of times it hits. There was no real indication that there was suddenly going to be a massive blade slamming down to take off over half of your health. It felt like a gotcha. It is a gotcha, essentially, but at least now I've stepped out of the game to slow it down to see what actually happens. It's perfectly manageable. But for people that can't do that, I thought there was an indicator on the ground in front of the Iron Maiden in the background where the kind of notch out of the blade of the guillotine was supposed to be, so that you could kind of position yourself. If you're caught in the middle and you can't make it to either side, because as I said, I'm assuming that the notch on the right is safe as well. The one on the left definitely is. I was assuming that the nail or whatever it was that I saw on the ground was to mark where that kind of kink in the blade, the notch in the blade, was supposed to be, so that you could position yourself in a safe space if you were caught in the middle. But it wasn't there the next time. So I don't know. It feels like there should be at least some kind of help for that. But again, maybe you just want to be really pissy about it. And that's how it felt. It felt like a really pissy, gotcha moment. You shouldn't have to step out of the game. If nothing else, it feels like, and I'd have to check whether it even did this or not, because I was so annoyed by the fact that it happened, the gotcha. It might be that the game slows down and the blade stays there for a little while so you can actually take a good look at it. But I was so annoyed. And, I think that's a fairly natural reaction to have in a fight that's already got quite a few issues in terms of... Don't get me wrong, the actual mechanics of the fight are fine. The jumping over stuff, the spike chain along the floor, the spike wave rather, along the floor and so on and so forth. There's nothing particularly wrong with the mechanics of the fight. It's just a little bit long. It's just that your controls aren't responsive enough. The special attack doesn't come out anywhere near enough. The dash attack doesn't always work to get through the grab attack, and just that gotcha moment of the guillotine feels kind of shit. It not only did it feel kind of shit the first time, but it felt kind of shit the second time as well, because I still couldn't see what I was supposed to do. Maybe have the glowing red blade, have the glowing red edge on the blade as well, so that you can see a little bit more clearly. I don't know. It was so fast, which is kind of in opposition to everything that I've said about the player, who is quite slow and unresponsive. Yeah, I think this needs some tweaks and a little bit extra clarity and, you know, so some severe polish, which is what I'm going to say about everything else as well. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Chronoscript overall. I didn't really come into the game with high hopes anyway, but I'm coming away with some of my fears and concerns confirmed about the visual style being a little bit too cluttered for its own good. It's very impressive in terms of the detail, but it's a bit messy, frankly. It's beautiful but messy, if that makes any sense at all. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Doodle pip. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.